Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Hope that you are all doing well and staying safe. Here is Mariam Shref, a senior petroleum engineering student at the Lebanese American University. Welcome to the fourth and last lecture of our online course, Introduction to Python Programming, presented by special guest speaker, Dr. Abdelrahman Kotb. Dr. Kotb is a lecturer at the William Michael Barnes Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering at Texas A&M University. His research interests include building calibrated machine learning models that predict physical phenomena, studying reaction kinetics for wellbore stimulation, and CFD modeling. He has authored and co-authored 8 publications. Dr. Kutb holds a PhD degree in petroleum engineering from Texas A&M University. Finally, Dr. Kutb serves as a reviewer for SPE Journal. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Kutb. So welcome, Doctor, and thank you for the time you have dedicated for delivering these series of lectures about one of the top IT skills in demand, which is Python. We highly appreciate that, and we are looking forward to having you in future events and courses. Now, as a reminder, if you have any question related to the technical content of the presentation, please feel free to drop it down in the Q&A section. Now, without any further ado, Dr. Kutb, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Mariam, very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry for running a bit late. I had technical difficulties, but now hopefully it's all sorted out. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have given these lectures, and I can't believe it's it's done today. Today's the last lecture, and as I was preparing this lecture, I realized that we have scratched the surface of Python. And my advice, if you are going through this course, is use this fundamental to actually start doing things with Python. The purpose for today's lecture, I guess, in a way, is to converge everything that we've learned and to apply what we've learned on applications, on real life applications that you might encounter through using Python. I believe my hope is through this lecture, today's lecture specifically, is I give you a taste of the power of the coding language Python, and hopefully this will give you more of a, I guess, hunger to learn more and more. But by no means I want to emphasize this, that we have you can finish this class and say that you are an expert in Python. I think few people can actually claim that they're experts in Python, given that the vast learning, the vast libraries, the vast knowledge that is out there, that is continuously being updated when it comes to Python. If you want to really excel in Python, you have to put a lot of effort in learning the material, learning what's going on in the community, and practice. I think without practicing pretty much any programming language, not just Python, would not be as beneficial. So without any further ado, welcome to the last and fourth lecture of Introduction to Python. This is the schedule that we've had. One of the chapters that we were going to discuss was chapter 15, which is accessing databases through Python. And although this topic in itself is extremely interesting, and actually a lot of people use Python for accessing database in conjunction with other software, other coding languages like SQL, I realized that I would not be doing it any justice if I cram it within today's lecture. I actually I've seen dedicated courses simply for accessing databases through Python. So what I've decided to spend time on today is accessing database web data using Python, which I think is one of the most exciting things you can do with Python, as well as introducing the concept of classes. What does it mean when I say classes, and how can you benefit by using classes in your programming. And I think I've mentioned earlier that Python is an object-oriented language, and I think classes is one of the things that really show the power of that statement. Okay, so without me talking more, let's start. So we're going to talk about 3 chapters in the book today. Chapter 12, network programs, chapter 13, Python and web services, and chapter 14, objects, which in our case, we're going to be focusing on classes. So everyone here has access to the internet to be in today's meeting. And I think now in this day and age, internet is becoming fundamental, core to every person's life. What I feel is that not a lot of people know how the internet works, and I just wanted to shed some light on what happens when you access the internet and where does Python lie within this system. So you start with an application. Mariam, can you see my mouse? Can people in the chat say, can people can attendees see my mouse?
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
Now I see it. Now I see it.
Okay, good. Thank you. So you start with an application. So for example, a browser, Chromecast, Internet Explorer, Zoom, if you're attending this meeting. So it goes to transport, internet, and then what happens is that through your Ethernet or Wi-Fi or whatever, it goes through a system of networks that are present. And then it reaches me in this case, or it reaches Zoom, and then you receive my image and so on. In Python, what we are focusing on specifically is the process to process, host to host. So pretty much Python tries to, it's not going to skip it, but this is when we write a code in Python, we focus on this stuff. The other things is covered outside Python. This is the reference for this image if you're interested. Whenever you join a website, all credible websites now have an HTTP before the website. And I know that this will not be Python, but this is just an introduction to, I guess, introduce the subject on how we access the material in Python. So HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The Hypertext Transfer Protocol is the set of rules to allow browsers to retrieve web documents from servers over the internet. And HTTP is the dominant application layer protocol on the internet. So pretty much it is like not a secret language, but it's a language agreed upon on the internet to access information on the internet using web browsers. It was invented for the internet, for the web. For example, a website, this is the Texas A&M website, https www.tamu.edu. So in this case, the red is the protocol, and I'm not aware of other protocols, but I know this is the most secure protocol. And if you are especially dealing with money on the internet, paying for something, buying something, selling something, I highly recommend that you always check that there is HTTPS. Okay, so let me, and I have a code for this, so let me illustrate. So let me open the directory, cd. Okay, so if we look at this code, if we want to access the internet, there is a library we use that is called socket. So in Python, I don't think we have discussed libraries, but because Python is an open source code, meaning that it's free, it's developed by the community, what happens is Python, when it was developed, it could not do everything, and it still does not do everything. However, in order to make it more usable and more user-friendly, what happens is people create, in the communities, create libraries. And these libraries have different functions. One of the most common ones is pandas, numpy, matplotlib. These are all, if you go into data management using Python, you will definitely encounter. For today's subject, at least from now, Socket was developed in order to access the engine. So in order to install it, you open your command prompt, and what you do is you do pip install and whatever library you want. So in this case, it's socket, so SOCET. Enter. It should not download. In my case, it should say yes. So it's giving me an error because of, and in general, there are going to be some challenges. So for example, here it's telling me to upgrade my PIP. I've already installed it in a different way, but this is in general what you would do to install. If my advice is, whenever you are like, your best friend when it comes to any Python problem is the internet. So if you Google this, you will find someone who encountered, most likely, unless it's a very, very specialized specific problem, you will find someone who's encountered. So for example, I encountered this a couple of days ago, and I was able to, through using the internet, to install it in a different way, and it worked. So if I come here, so I import my socket. So whenever I want to use my socket, use the socket library, I have to write socket dot, and within that socket library, there's a lot of functions. So for example, socket has a socket function, and socket has an AF dot underscore INET, and socket dot SOCK underscore stream. And this is pretty much the code that needs to be given to access the internet. And then if I do mysock.connect, for example, in this case, I want to connect to this website, and this number is a number that is usually given by the website. So you need to have access to this number. It's like it's a port. So this is the host, and this is the port number. I do not think this is the wrong port, and I'm going to show you what happens when you have the incorrect port. And then you type this command, get HTTP, then the website, and then I want to access this. So let me show you what I mean by I want to access this. So if I open a new tab, and yeah, it's loading. So internet's working. Just making sure. So I guess the website is not working. Okay, so the website is not working, but we can try a different website. But this is the website I'm trying to connect to. Usually this is website. I just tested it yesterday. It was working. So. Okay. So let me continue, and then I'll discuss the code and see what it does. So, and then I do my sock. So this is the my sock that I created, .send, and then while true data, my sock dot receive 512, and then if length of data is less than the 1, break print data dot decode. So whenever you access internet, you access information on the internet, it is encoded, meaning it is not in I guess it's not easy for us to understand it. It's encrypted. It's cryptic. Not encrypted. I think this is not the appropriate term, but it is coded. So it's encoded, meaning that it's in a specific language. Decoding it means that we're asking Python to give us the proper language that we are used to. We're used to expect. And in the end, you're supposed to close this connection, and this is where my socket close. My socket close does. So if I do this socket, so it's trying to access the website, and I'm guessing it's not going to be able to, and as a result, it's not going to work. Give me a second to try and figure out why. Let me try this website. All right. So I think yes. So what it said here is that it's telling me that there is a timeout error. A connection attempt failed because the connected party did not properly respond. So, and this is what we saw. When I tried to connect to the website is not working. So let's try another website that hopefully works. And it's going to be the same. So, and then it's going to be .com. What happens? Okay, yes. So HTTP bad request date. So I tried a different website that I know it works. This website, py4e. I recommend people looking at it. Python for everyone. .com, and it said okay, access Tuesday 2nd November 2021, 1:55 GMT. Text. And then content length 155, connection close, and then information that pretty much is not that useful for you. And then it's telling me better. So there is something that did not let me access this information, which is fine. There's a lot of reasons why you can't access websites. And for example, let's say you go on Facebook or Twitter and you want to access the data. You will not be able to. Pretty much Facebook or Twitter or Google will block you. And the reason is because they don't want people just having automatic codes taking information from them. What companies like Facebook, Google, and Twitter does, these companies they sell this information. That's why they have their own system of accessing information. However, this is a website that does not have the security, and pretty much the reason why we did not access most likely is because of this. So is this it? Like, is this the only way to access internet, the website? No, of course not. And actually, this is what I'm going to talk about next, which is an easier way to skip some of these steps. So go back to this. Another library. So because of the issues that we just faced now, there is another library that was created, which is urlib. So because HTTP is common, there is a library that does the all the socket work for us and make web pages look like a file. So if I look to the files and I open Atom, okay, yes, here it is. So again, in order to install it, I did pip install url lib. Let me do this. Yes. So because I already installed it, it's giving me this error. So I do import you. So there, in this case, I will be requesting. I'm going to import parts of the library. So I'm going to do urlib.request, urlib.parse, urlib.error, and everything that we wrote in the previous page, which is this one, all of this can be summarized using this line. So urlib.request.url open http.data pr4e.org/romeo.txt. And for line and if hand, pretty much this becomes like a list, and this will go through the list to print the information. So let's see if it works or if the website is not working. So I think it's going to give us an error because the website is not working. Let's see. If I copy this to website, it's going to happen. I think it's going to give me an error. Yes, so it's not connecting, and it's going to time out. So let me try this website instead and see what happens. Yeah, so it's giving me all these errors. It's pretty much not able to access the website, and it's giving me all this. So a connection attempt failed because the connected party did not respond. So let's see URL apply again after I change the website, and here it's giving me another error, which is saying that I'm not allowed to look at it to access this data. Let's see. Very surprised this is not working. I just tested it yesterday. Let's see. So unfortunately, I will be unable to display this today. But if you would like in your own time, hopefully this website will work eventually. So this website, the reason I'm using this website, which is data.pr4e.org/romeo.txt or slash any of the other files, is because this was designed without all the securities that lets us access the information. So ideally, let me do another final attempt to see if I can access it to show you what uh, I'm trying to show you. I would rather not uh, spend a lot of time on this part, but this website was working, and if you do this, you should be able to access this information. Let me show you another example. So this is also trying to access the same file, but in this case, we are trying to integrate what we learned last time when it comes to counting the number of words. And pretty much we say counts equal dict, and for line in f hand. So this is the website. Words equal line dot decode dot split, and then you would count the words. So you go line by line, and then count the words, and then it would give you the dictionary for counting the words. For the last one, what I'm trying to do here is instead of having this is actually identical to this one. So pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm showing you how to access the website as we did for the first example. Okay. Web scraping. This is one of the most important applications of accessing the internet. And before all the securities that were integrated, and before major companies like Google, Facebook, and Twitter started, and MSN and all these websites pretty much selling the information, because we are in the age of information, in the age of data, and targeted ads. And what these companies do, for example, every time you use Google, Facebook, they track everything you do on the internet. And pretty much they for every individual, they have a detailed information about that person that tells them, okay, what does this person want to buy, what do they like, what do they hate. And as a result, it provides them with an ability to give you targeted ads. Have you ever thought of, okay, look, I want to buy a new pen or a new notebook or a new laptop or a new phone, and then suddenly you are bombarded by phone ads or by pen ads. They follow your traffic, and in a lot of cases, if you're using Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, all these, or Google Chrome, you've also given them access to your mic, which then they use this information, they use whatever you're saying to give you ads. Going back to how this applies to Python, in the past, how Google, for example, was first originated, and actually they're still doing that. Whenever you do a Google search, what happens is that the Google as an engine, what it does, it scrapes the internet, to look for what you typed. And this is done by in less than a second by accessing as many information as it can and looking for what you typed. And it's called, this process is called spidering the web, because it's like you're creating a spider web that goes through all the internet, at least all the accessible internet, or it's also referred to as web. So when a program or script pretends to be a browser, so pretty much what Google does, it pretends to be a browser and retrieves web pages, looks at those web pages, extracts information, and looks at more web pages. And it's quite interesting. The concept of Google was actually in a paper published in the 90s. So the founders of Google thought of the idea of Google, which is through web scraping, and they typed it up, and then they posted they published the work, and this paper is still publishable. So the core concept of Google is out there. What they did is then they applied it in an excellent way, and in a way that is very smart, and this is what made them extremely rich and extremely successful. What I'm trying to say is the concept is not something new. However, applying it in an optimal way and in a way that is useful, this is where it's tricky, and this is where excelling in Python can be useful. Okay, so we talked about how Python is or accessing the internet. There is encoding, decoding, HTML. There's a lot of languages or a lot of complexities that comes with it. And one of the very useful libraries that were developed in Python in order to read HTML, in order to read the information in the internet, and then provide it in a very very easy way for the user to read, is Beautiful Soup. And again, I hope you've noticed that most library names have like the name Python. They don't really have a direct relationship to what they do. But however, in this case, actually it does. Beautiful Soup, if you think of a letter soup, yeah, you can, I don't know if it's a very common thing, but there are like cereals that have letters, and some people make words out of them. But this is where the name came from. So as we said, and I actually want to show you an example of an HTML file. An HTML file is very challenging. Let me show you an example. So if we go to this, let's try it one last time. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Good. So let's see. I want to show you an example of how the HTTP looks like. So if you go in any page, and you can do this for any website, and you go to, you right click and then view page source, this is what it looks like. As you can see, like there are a lot of code, and then, okay, there's some text, and then code, text, some information to make the background color, this is the background color, secondary, and so on and so forth. But it's difficult to read, and as a result, Beautiful Soup gives you an idea of what to look for. Usually there is something called an anchor. Yes, an anchor class, which is usually something that's useful. And usually A, which is anchor, gives you what's anchoring this website with, or what is most, I guess, what you're seeing. So for example, this one, lessons here, would be this one. For example, if I click on this one, and then I click on this one, they will give me the same thing. So pretty much what happens is whenever what the browser sees is this, and then the browser decodes it and gives you this. This is the website. Kami.com is the website that was used. Like this is where the library. So Kami. Yeah, Kami. I think it's just spelled. So this is the website for the Beautiful Soup documentation. If you are interested in knowing how Beautiful Soup was developed, why it was developed, and all of the functions within it, it's also gives you instructions on how to install Beautiful Soup. If you are interested, I think this website is not easy if you are not familiar with Python. However, once you become familiar with Python, this website becomes a very good tool, and it gives you a quick start, how to use it, and so on. Okay. So if I want to install it, I use pip install Beautiful Soup 4. Let me try it here. I already installed it when I was preparing this lecture, but pip install soup. So when I try it, it says requirement already satisfied. You've already installed Beautiful Soup. However, when I download it, when I try to install it first, it basically goes through the process of installing it. Okay. Let's see. Yes. Then I prepared the code for Beautiful Soup. So urlib.request parse. So I'm using the same libraries, and then for Beautiful Soup, I'm using BS4 import from BS4. So BS4 is the library, and I want to import Beautiful Soup from it. So BS4 has other things than Beautiful Soup, and then I'm asking the user to enter the URL, and I want to use the HTML parser, and then I'm looking for specific tags. And let's try these two websites. So if I do soup, and then I enter this website, it's gonna give this. Actually, let's try these websites for the other codes that, since they are working, to show you. Okay, let me see. So for this one, it would be, let's see. Yeah, that's good. So it is working. So if we go back to these codes, I would like to actually go through them to show you what they do. So if you go to this website, and let's go to view page source, you see this is what the website is. So if I ask Python to access it using this host urlib, is gonna give me what this is. Pretty much is gonna give me a copy of what you saw. The second page, if you like, you can switch with everything, with href and everything. However, as a user, you don't really understand that. And this is why we use Beautiful Soup. So if I want to count the words, I come here and I run urlib2. It's going to give me a count of them. It's okay. It's unable to access, which is fine. But let's go back to the first one. So this is what reading an HTML looks like. However, when we type Beautiful Soup, then we write this website. It is just going to give us the anchor, which is this one. So I think, actually, I think this is different. Yeah. So let me try again. So if you look at this information and you look at this information, this is the same, because the anchor in this case is http://w.drchuck.com page 2. But what Beautiful Soup does, it removes everything else that you did not ask for, and it presents it in a nice way. So I hope this clarifies things. Unfortunately, this website is not working, but I wanted to show you the difference between using HTML as well as Beautiful Soup. HTML parser or urlib, what it does, it gives you the website as is. What a Beautiful Soup does, it gives you more of the information that you're looking for in a nice and readable way. As we switch gears to classes, classes is the last topic that we will be discussing in this lecture series. And as I mentioned several times, Python is an object-oriented language. What this means is that there are objects in Python that are used to make programming easy. And one of the main classes that you are going to look at, one of the main objects that you're going to look at are classes. And I wanted to show you several examples that I developed, that I wrote for classes. So if I go these, five examples. Okay. So what classes are is so they're similar to function, and I think we've talked about functions a little bit. However, classes are more of, you can store data within classes. Functions give you results. However, classes, you store information within them. And there are so many classes that are defined. For example, lists are a class, dictionaries are a class. And because they're classes, there are functions that are already developed for them. For example, for list, there's sort, there is pop, there is all these things. And for dictionaries, there's count. So these are classes. But these are classes that are already developed within Python. So let's say you want to develop your own class. For example, here, I want to develop a class called party animal. And I said class, party animal, and then I define this class, whatever I want to define it as. So I say, okay, X is equal 0, and then define party.self. So whenever I call the class, so self.class self.x is equal self.x plus 1, and then print so far self.x. So what happens here is here in the first line I'm defining the class. Nothing is happening. However, here I'm saying an.party, so I'm calling this. So this is like me saying an.sort, and I can call it anything I want. So let's say I want to say, okay, instead of party animal, I want to call this class counter. Change this to counter. Then instead of party, attendees, attendance. I can say attendance, okay. And pretty much it's going to say, okay, every time you call an.attendance, it's going to add. So you start by 0 attendance, because x is 0. Let's say att, so to make it more readable. And whenever you're with a class, you're going to deal with this word self. Self meaning the class. And it's only within the class that you use this. And it's going to say, okay, I've defined my class, and then attendance is going to go to this, okay, and then go, okay, self.attend is equal self.attend plus 1, and then it's going to print this. So this should be 1, 2, 3. So far 1, so far 2, so far 3. So let's see. Here. So all you see is these 3 being performed, and if I don't do print, nothing's going to happen. So this print is the only thing that we see. Okay. So this is the first step of creating a class. Sometimes you want to know, okay, I've told you this is a class, but does Python see it as a class? And for this, you remember whenever we were dealing with the list, whenever we wanted to do dir, it tells us what can we do within, what are the functions that are present within this class. So with list, so let's create a list and tell you what I mean. So L is equal 1, 2, 3, and print type L, and print dir. So I'm gonna comment these out. Actually, I'm gonna comment this out. Show one, and then print. So first thing, this is the I printed the list. So 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the type of L? It's a class named list. So this is a class. Someone built something like this that they called list, so that everyone can use. And then dirl, these are the everything that you can use. Append, clear, class. And if you look in the documentation of lists, you will see everything. You will see all these, and you can actually go and see how the list class is defined. It's a very good exercise if you want to create your own class, is to go through this, to learn more about how classes are created, what to consider when you're creating classes, what some problems that you might face. I would say this is a very good practice. Okay, so we have seen this for a list. Let's go back to our class that we created, party animal. So I created party animal, and the only directory, the only function within party animal here is party. And so type should give me a class, dir should give me only party, and an.x should give me 0, because we did not call anything. So if I call an.party, and then print an.x, it should be 1 now. So let's see. So class, it's a class, because this is the type, party.env. This is the name. Directory, there are, so everything that is with underscore before and after, pretty much these are within any class. Any class, this is something that Python does in the background that we're not really interested in. However, if I look at the actual things within Python, there is party and there's X. Because there's X here and there's party. And then if I go to print n of X, because I didn't do anything, X is 0. However, once I call an of party, what it does, it goes through this, it adds 1 to X, so X becomes 1 instead of 0, so, and it prints this one. So then if I print an.x, it gives me 1. And that's it. That's it. Okay, what if I want to create more than one class? So as you can see here, there is init, there is also delete. I think. Oh, delete is not there. Okay, but there is init. Init, what init does is whenever you initiate, it performs this, and if you don't write it down, Python will do it itself. So what I want to do is I want to say, okay, whenever this class is initiated, I want to print I am construct, and then I'm going to keep the same function, the party.self party, and then I'm going to say, okay, if I delete this class, I want it to do this. I want it to tell me that I am destructed self.x. Okay, so let's see what happens. So the first step, I'm defining the class. So whenever I call this line, I'm supposed to go, okay, class, okay, initiation. So I'm supposed to get this line. I am constructed. Okay. And then an.party, this goes through here, and it says so far 1. an.party, so far 2. an.party, so far 3. And then I wanna ignore everything I did and say an is equal to 50. So what happens is that an, this class, is going to be deleted, because what happens when I assign a new value to an is whatever value is there is deleted, and then it's replaced by the 50. So I should get I am destructed 3. And then whenever I say print an, I'm supposed to get 50. So let's see what happens. Yes. So once I initiate, I get I am constructed. I call these 3 times, so far 1, so far 2, so far 3. Because this happens and this class is deleted, I'm going to get I am destructed and the value of X. And then I printed an, which is 50. I know this is a bit overwhelming. However, this is a very brief introduction on what classes are. Classes are very powerful, and pretty much, I want to say everything. Machine learning, moving on, is based on this class concept. Okay, so now I want to add another feature, or let's teach you another feature of classes, which is adding parameters, or adding variables to your class. So here, again, whenever you want to add any variable, what happens is it's going to be within the init. So within the initiation of the variable of the class, you're going to add the variable. So here I'm saying init self, you always have to put it. When this does not mean you have a variable, but here the variable that we have is going to be z. And then we say, okay, self.name. So we are saying that this class has a feature name, which is going to be equal z. And once this class is initiated, I'm going to say print self.name. So the name, the z that I put, is constructed. And then I'm going to say, okay, same thing, party self, party.count self-text. why would you want this? Let's say you have a class and you want to count the attendance, and you want to say, okay, if I have two people with the same name, I'm going to add them to each other. So I'm going to have two Muhammads, one Michael, one Ahmed, one Sarah, one Maryam, three John, and so on. This is why we might, of course, this is a very simplified code, but nonetheless, the potential from this is very good. So here I'm defining party animal Sally. I'm gonna say, okay, so what happens when I do this is that S is equal to party animal Sally is gonna be, it's gonna say Sally is constructed. And then if I do this, it's gonna be, okay, print self.name goes here, it says, oh, this is Sally. So Sally party count 1. And then I do Jim, J.party, so it's gonna be, okay, Jim party count 1, and then S.party, so it goes back to this one and says, okay, Sally party count 2. Let's see. Sally is constructed, Sally party count 1, Jim is constructed, Jim party count 1, and then Sally party count 2. The last part, and I think I'm glad this is the last code we are finalizing with, because I think this is a bit more complex, and again, I feel this scratches the surface of what Python is capable of. But what I'm doing here is I'm creating two classes, a party animal class and a football fan class. However, within the football fan class, I am adding the party animal as an input. So if you look here, so this is the first class, this is the same class that we did. However, I added another class that has party animal as an input. So what this does, it's pretty much when I do this, is this means that this function, this class has all of these functions in them. So whenever I say, okay, party animal is Sally, it's gonna go through this class initiate. It's gonna say Sally is constructed. If I write S.party, it's gonna do the same thing. Okay, Sally party count 1. However, when I do football fan Jim, it's gonna come here and then it's gonna say, okay, it wants me to go through party animal. It's gonna say, oh, party animal has initiation, which tells me to do Jim construct. So whenever I create this, I'm supposed to get Jim construct, even though the initiation is not under football fan. Party animal becomes part of football fan and it is integrated. So I should get Jim is construct. Then if I do J.party, you can look J football fan, there's no party here. However, because party animal is part of it, you go back to the class party and it's gonna do the same. So it's gonna do, okay, J.party, okay, so Jim party count is 1. If I go to touchdown here, so self points equal self.points plus 7, self.party. So again, I am calling for self.party. So I'm gonna get this. So I'm gonna get Jim party count 2, since I already did party count is 1 here, and then it's gonna see the self.name points self.points, which in this case is gonna be 7. And if I do it again, it's gonna be 14, as well as this is gonna be 3. So let's try it. Yeah. So Sally is constructed, Sally party count 1, Jim is constructed, Jim party 1. So this is the result for this one. J.touchdown is gonna give me Jim party count 2, and then Jim 0.7. And then when I do touchdown again, it's gonna give me Jim party count 3, Jim 0.14. Again, this might not seem relevant because the application is not that interesting. However, this is intended for illustration purposes. The the potential is endless, is as far as your imagination and as far as what you can think of and what you learn from what people have achieved and build on that. So with that, congratulations. This concludes the end of the introduction to Python programming course. It was a pleasure. It was I think it was very compacted. Learning Python in 4 hours or 6 hours, it's an hour and a half, is you would only be able to scratch the surface. And what I would recommend is keep learning, keep practicing. If you have any questions, there's a lot of resources online that are extremely helpful. That I even now a lot of I never use Python without accessing the internet to ask, to check for something, to make sure that I'm doing something right. So it doesn't say that you don't know Python. It's I have not seen anyone that uses Python that does not use the internet to ask a question here and there. So I always recommend to keep learning. And it was a pleasure to prepare these lectures. My hope is it provides you with the hunger that you need to keep learning. And I hope to work more with some of you in the future. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and this concludes the class.
Thank you, Dr. Kotb, for your time. We were pleasured having you on Arab Guru, and we would be happy also to have you in future courses. I hope you all enjoyed this course, and by now you are able to grasp the basic concepts of Python programming. Now, for those who missed previous lectures, you can visit Arab Guru's YouTube channel, where all sessions are uploaded. Now, thank you again, Doctor. That's all for today. Now, have a nice day and see you in future webinars. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.